All right, today we are at the end of our week talking about how Jesus can make a miracle in the middle of the mess. Have you seen how he faithfully just makes miracles right in the middle of the mess? And I hope you're starting to see even in your life where he has turned your mess into a miracle. All right, so today we're going to look at Jesus calming the storm and Jesus walking on the water. So very familiar story about the disciples, and we see it in Matthew 8 and again in Mark 4. And it says, suddenly a great storm covered the boat. Suddenly. And you know what? The boat was covered with waves. It says it was literally overflowing. It was sinking because of how much water. And I'm sure they were trying to bail the water out. But you know what? Sometimes your mess is suddenly. Suddenly. You didn't expect it, out of nowhere. It just happens. And it feels like everything was beautiful, it was peaceful. Obviously, it had been so calm that Jesus fell asleep in the boat, right? And then suddenly, everything changed. And you know what? They were so afraid, obviously. But Jesus was sleeping peacefully in the boat. And they wake him up and they're like, Lord, save us. We're perishing. We're going to die. And how many times is that you? How many times is that me? You know, the situation just suddenly changed. We're like, oh God, help me. I'm going to die. You know? It's like so big and dramatic. And Jesus wakes up and he's like, why are you fearful? I'm in the boat with you, right? Jesus is right there. Why are you fearful? But you know what? I want to say in that moment, they're never alone. We are never alone. Even when that suddenly comes, we are never alone. And you know what? The next thing it says is he arose. That says to me, Jesus is willing to be disturbed for you, to rescue you. You know what? Sometimes as a parent, I remember when my children were little and I would lay down, I'd want to take a nap, and they would come and knock on the door and I'd want to pretend like I didn't hear them. Oh, you know, I didn't want to be disturbed by my children waking me up from sleep. And Jesus was so tired. I mean, obviously, physical body, he's doing all this ministry, he's taking rest, and here his disciples are, we're going to die, right? And Jesus wakes up for them and he says, peace be still. In Mark it says, peace be still. In Matthew it just says that he rebuked the winds and the seas and the waves, and everything ceased. That fast, it ceased, and it was still. And you know what? I just see Jesus doing the impossible in the middle of that situation, no matter how crazy it looked for them. And then later we see in Matthew 14 where Jesus was walking on the water. Again, you know, physically, scientifically, impossible. You can't walk on water. It's not a solid state. Okay, you can walk on ice, but you can't walk on liquid water. But you know what? I want to say in every situation, Jesus can change it. He will do the impossible to get to you, to rescue you, and to turn your situation around. So he can defy the laws of nature, common sense, or your reasoning. So if your ship is sinking, or you feel like waves are just beating against you and you don't see a way out, don't hesitate, okay? Don't let those waves keep knocking you down. It only takes a second for him to rescue you. It only takes a second. So as you go the second mile, and as we think about this whole week and all the messes that we've looked at and how Jesus turned them into a miracle, I just want to say he wants to turn your mess into a miracle. So don't hesitate to call out to him. If you're in a storm, or if your eyes are blind, or if you feel like, you know, you're crying in the night and cutting yourself like the demoniac, whatever your situation, or if it's like Lazarus and you feel like you were believing for a miracle, you were believing for Jesus to come through, but now it's too late. It's already died. The relationship is over. I lost the job. Whatever it is, you know what? It is never too late to ask Jesus to bring a miracle in the middle of your mess. And he loves to do the impossible for his children.